So my name is Michael Williams, founder of the Start Speaking Training Center. Normally we just go by Pro90d.com. And what we do is we work with people who struggle with their speech. Some of these people range from severe stuttering all the way up to fear of public speaking. And I'll talk to you a little bit more about that later. But I have a question for you. How many of you know people or have known people who stuttered? Wow. Okay. Amazing. How many of you know people or have known people who struggle with fear of public speaking? Okay. A couple of fun facts for you. They say that about 1% of the global population suffers with stuttering. 1%. So we're at just a little over 7 billion people in the world, which means, what, about 70,000 people, 70 million people struggle with stuttering. 70 million people in the world. Now, another fun fact. They say that up to 75% of the world's population struggle with glossophobia, which is what? Fear of public speaking. 75%. So that comes out to what? About 500 million people or something like that. Just a lot of people, right? So basically, the average person struggles in one way or another with fear of public speaking. But I'd like to ask you something. What does it feel like to not be able to say what you want to say when you want to say it the way you want to say it? How does that feel? Frustrating. It sucks. What else? Embarrassing. Yes. It can make you ill. You can get sick from that, right? So I grew up stuttering all the way up through my late 20s, probably even into my 30s. And my stuttering was severe. So sometimes you could see it on my face. I was pushing out words. Sometimes I would literally bite my tongue. Sometimes I would do things with my head. I mean, just all kinds of crazy stuff. So there were times when my stuttering was very, very severe. And imagine the impact this had on me in school. I had to go to speech therapy. I was a smart guy, but I couldn't say the things that I wanted to say. And so I felt like a mental prisoner. Imagine being trapped in your own mind. You got stuff that you want to say, you have people that you want to talk to, you know the answers, but you simply can't say anything, right? Imagine how that feels. Now, on the other end of the spectrum, there are those people who just struggle with the fear of public speaking, and maybe some of those people are not here today because they're so frightened of having to stand up and do their 30 seconds. Or maybe people are limiting themselves both professionally, socially, and personally because they can't say the things that they want to say when they want to say it, right? Business, sales, social situations. So these are the kinds of people that I work with. So I'll tell you just a little bit about why I decided to go from a person who stuttered to a person who helps people who stutter. So let me just rewind and I'll tell you just a little bit about myself. I grew up in Philadelphia. And like I said, I stuttered all my life. Sometimes it was severe, sometimes you couldn't tell. And I remember when I was in my 20s, and I was in the military as first lieutenant, and I was standing in front of my platoon. It's one of the most embarrassing moments in my life. And I needed to call them to attention. And this guy knows what I'm talking about. But I couldn't. I couldn't say the word attention. So what I had to do was call my platoon sergeant up and ask him to call them to attention. Imagine how that feels as an officer not being able to call your troops to attention. Now, I never let that happen again, but it did happen. And so sometime shortly after that, I decided, hey, I need to do something about this. And what happened is, later after I got in the military, I was working, doing something I really hate to do, which is talking on the phone. So sometimes when people struggle with their speech, one of the things they don't want to do is they don't want to answer the phone. They don't want to make phone calls. They don't want to order food. They can't order the food that they want. They don't want to give out their address or social security number, all kinds of different things. So I hated talking on the phone, but I challenged myself and got a job working for USAA Insurance Company. I worked there for several years, but every day I would come home with a headache because I had to switch words. I had to worry about, am I going to stutter or not? So finally, I had enough. And I was praying and I was saying, you know what? If I want to be fulfilled, how can I get over the stuttering? And it just became clear that, hey, if you want to be fulfilled in life and do the things you're called to do, you're going to have to figure out a way to get over this. So I was introduced to a friend. My wife's girlfriend's boyfriend introduced me to a guy. Some of you may have known about it. My wife's girlfriend, not that kind of girlfriend. And he introduced me to a guy named Brian Tracy. Have any of you ever heard of Brian Tracy? Okay. So Brian Tracy directly helped me and indirectly helped me, and I'll tell you how. He helped me directly because he helped me understand that I could change the way that I thought. I could change my thoughts, my beliefs, my mindset. I could change who I saw myself as a speaker. And I saw myself as a person who stuttered. So he taught me that I could change that. But the way he helped me indirectly is that I liked the way he spoke. I liked the way he stood. I liked his hand gestures. I liked his voice rhythm and flow. And so I modeled him. I copied him. So I started doing presentations sounding just like Brian Tracy. Fast forward several years, I went to seminary, became ordained, did some preaching, later did some other things, finally ended up being a relationship coach for about 5 years. And while I was a relationship coach, I decided that I wanted to have my own business. And there were a couple of criteria that was very important. That criteria was that I needed to be able to work from anywhere, and I needed to be able to help people, right? So freedom and fulfillment were the two most important things for me. And so I thought about what can I do to help other people? And one of the things was that I'd struggled with stuttering, so I could help people overcome stuttering. So I developed a business called Pro90d.com, and Pro90d is also a system. It's called the Pro90d speech system. And what it is it's a scientifically based system to help people go from stuttering or struggling to smooth, clear, calm, confident speech. Okay? And I have clients from all over the world because I work online. In fact, I don't have any clients from this area. So all of my clients are literally from, I have clients from Egypt, Saudi Arabia, I have clients from the UK, Australia. Many of my clients, believe it or not, are doctors. Some are engineers. I have clients who work for Facebook, for Google, for Microsoft. So I have all kinds of different clients. And the reason is because my business is online and I was able to reach people from around the world. Now, you may be wondering, what does this have to do with you and why am I here? Well, one of the reasons that I'm here is because I know that at least 1% of Tampa Bay's population stutters, right? That comes out to about 30,000 people. I also know that about 75% of people in Tampa Bay struggle with fear of public speaking. I don't remember what that number is. I think it's a few 100,000 or something like that. So I'd like to be able to share the Pro90d speech system with people in this area. Okay? Now, what I'd like to do is to offer a free 60 or 90-minute workshop on how to stop struggling with your speech and start saying what you want to say, when you want to say it, the way you want to say it. Now, this may not be for anyone here because you're all here. This may be for people that you know. So if you know people who stutter or otherwise struggle with their speech, this may be a workshop that they want to attend. If you know people whose incomes and professions in social life has been limited by their speech, this would be a workshop that they would want to attend. So here's something that I'd like for you to write down real quick. PAID, right? The P stands for passion. The A stands for affirm, and authority. It stands for affirm and or authority. The I stands for impact, and the D stands for decisiveness. So Pro90d helps people speak with passion. It helps people speak with authority. It helps people impact others, and it helps people speak decisively. But it also helps people get what? Paid, right? Because people who communicate well do what? Generally get paid more. All right? Does anyone have any questions? And how much time do I have left? 5 minutes. Okay, so just want to leave this open for some questions. Yes?
What age group do you start at?
Excellent question. Thank you for asking. So I usually work with adults who are professionals, but I also work with people who are professionally minded, meaning I can work with students. And some of my best clients have been college students, some have been high school students. I have a couple of clients that I'm working with, one client right now, and she's 13 years old. But I have to work with the parent and the child, not just the child. It just doesn't work, right? So I can work with children who are old enough to understand certain concepts and so forth. So it depends. It could be 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I don't generally prefer to work with children, but I can. So if you know teachers, parents who work with people who stutter or have children who stutter, I can talk with them. Great question. Thank you. Yes?
Is stuttering not a neurological issue? Is it more a nerve or what actually is the genesis of stuttering?
Awesome question. So no one really knows what causes stuttering because there's various causes, right? It most certainly is neurological, right? But also it has a basis emotionally. So sometimes if a person feels more confident, they may not stutter. Or if they're speaking with their friends or family, they may not stutter, right? Or if they're by themselves, they may not stutter. So it's neurological, yes, but it's also confidence related. Now, yes, 1 second, let me just finish this and I'll get to you. What also happens is that they've shown that in certain areas of the brain of people who stutter, there can be less blood flow, or there can be an increase of dopamine. No one really knows, but they've found that in the brains of stutterers that there's less blood flow in certain areas or increased dopamine. It doesn't really matter. Stuttering is something that is a disfluency, that is a disfluent way of speaking, right? And because it's a disfluent way of speaking, ways or behaviors can be what? They can be modified, they can be replaced, right? Speaking well is a skill. So it doesn't matter if you stutter or not or what the source of it is, you can learn a new way, a smoother way of speaking. And that's what the Pro90d speech system is based on. Yes, sir, go ahead.
You talk a lot about stuttering and getting over the fear of public speaking, fear. Do you work on all the other aspects of it, I assume, like the voice inflection, the tonality, and the timing, and all the other aspects of speaking?
Thank you for asking that question as well. Pro90d has two dimensions to it. One is the psychological dimension, emotions and feelings and how you see yourself, your self-image, your self-concept, your beliefs. Because many people who stutter, especially adults, it affects their personality, affects how they think, how they see themselves, how they feel, right? But it also has a physiological dimension, and we work on that. So we call these proactive speaking skills, skills that many of you have. Voice inflection, body language, emphasizing, eye contact, which is a part of your body language, articulation. We work on all those things too. So our program is not just about helping people stop stuttering. It's about helping them become excellent speakers. If you have two people equally qualified, both of them used to stutter, one doesn't stutter anymore, and one's an excellent speaker, who's going to get the job? The excellent speaker. So we don't really care about stuttering and helping you not stutter. What we want to do is to help you go from stuttering to being an excellent speaker. You have to do the work anyway, so why not become an excellent speaker? Thank you, Daniel. Great question. Yes?
You've already told us that it's embarrassing for these people, obviously. How can we approach someone to promote you and get them to maybe attend that free class?
Thank you. So often what you might want to do is, you don't necessarily want to use the word stuttering, like this guy works. You could say that he helps people who struggle with their speech, or they're not able to always say what they want to say. So you want to soften it. I don't even like to use the word stuttering. So I generally don't. I just say people who struggle with their speech, sometimes they have trouble saying what they'd like to say, and this guy does this, and he helps people become excellent speakers or start speaking more smoothly. So it's not like you have this problem, you have this disease, and this guy's going to help you, is going to cure it. So you know what? This guy can help you improve the way you speak so you can say the things you want to say. Was that helpful?
Yes.
Yes. That's it? Okay. All right.